I use the 23mm and the 85mm from Viltrox quite a lot, so you know I had to talk about this one, the Viltrox 33mm f1.4 for Fujifilm. But before I get into it, I'll be looking at this on its own merits. But as I own the nearest equivalent, the XF 35mm f1.4, it's only natural, I think, that I compare them a little along the way. Also, I'm currently using firmware version 1.0.7, and every clip in this video is recorded with this very lens on the X-T4, except where you see the actual lens up close. Let's crack on. Let's crack it open then. Typically these Viltrox products come really well stuffed or packed. So we've got a little instruction guide there. This should be the warranty card. No massive surprises. A little soft and baggy. And the lens itself, obviously, you know, if you've watched the 23mm vid and the 85mm, then it's pretty much the same. Well packaged, generally very secure. And there's the lens itself. Metal hood, nice little snap cap there, and mount cover there, nice metal mount at the back, fat, decent feeling manual focus ring, aperture ring moves well, hard stop at 1.4, and then there's like a little stop when you get to f16. I don't think I'll ever be going f16 with this lens, but f16, and then onwards to the automatic. Now, as you can see, potentially, that is click free. I'll definitely be mentioning that after. The lens itself weighs 270 grams. Now, if we grab my XF35, you can already tell there's a big difference in size. 270 grams to a 187 grams. But yeah, mostly metal. You've got a USB port for firmware updates. We'll make sure this is on the very latest. Let's take the metal hood off for the moment. We do have a 52mm filter thread, 0.4, 40cm minimum focus distance. We're getting a 49.5 full frame equivalent focal length compared to our friend, the XF35. That gives you a 53mm. So, you know, it's not a big deal, but this is closer to the nifty 50 traditional mark. We've got a f1.4 to f16 aperture, as we saw. STM focus internal mechanism. This goes for £265 at the time of recording. So is it another winner from Viltrox, or a runner-up to, let's be honest, the rather classic Fujifilm number that it's closest to? Let's take a look at a few quick unedited portraits first of all, and then we'll talk about it on the other side, and we'll get into it a little bit more with some more random shots as well. XF35 1.4 was almost double the price of this lens, but yeah, it is lighter, has a clicked aperture, which I do prefer. The Viltrox, however, has a smoother, almost silent autofocus and is a better choice for video shooters overall, and maybe even for most stills shooters. The autofocus is very responsive, it's pretty fast, and it doesn't hunt around too much in very low light either. Basically, I haven't missed a shot with it yet. But anyway, here's a very quick example of a simple indoors setup so you get some kind of idea what we're working with. While it's not something I'll use most of the time on this lens, the manual focus ring feels pretty well adjusted and well implemented. The lens feels top quality, all metal, and should stand up to some serious shooting over the years to come. You get a nice metallic lens hood too, which should please most of you. A note of caution, if you use the X Pro 3, check to see if there's an updated version of this lens first that guarantees usage on your camera. For now anyway, here are some more random unedited images I shot, and I think it was my first day out with the lens, just warming up the lens, you know. Let's have a little look. What it really should come down to is the image quality, and yes, this is a sharp lens, and actually as sharp or sharper than the XF35 1.4 up till around 5.6. Now across the frame, wide open isn't so sharp for me, but for the purpose it's absolutely fine. There's also some fringing present wide open, but stopping down naturally improves any defects, especially around 5.6 to f11. Not that I ever really need to go there with this lens. As you can imagine, there's a little distortion wide open, and vignetting doesn't really go away until you get to around f5.6. It's not a perfect lens, but maybe it doesn't need to be. Also, chromatic aberration might be a problem if you're shooting bright sun a lot. Alas, summer 2020 is not proving to be a normal one by any stretch, so I can't say much more about that. What I can talk about though is the bokeh. It's pretty nice. For some reason, it's not particularly exciting or noteworthy, but being sensible with the sensible hat on, yeah, it's pretty nice in general. Now on the negative side, I suppose I understand why they chose to use a click-free aperture ring, but it doesn't really help me. I get it, but no. However, it's not a deal breaker for me with this lens. Also, I felt disappointed with the 40cm minimum focus distance, as I'm used to the 28cm of this 35mm from Fuji. But on the plus side, the focal length is that bit closer to the traditional nifty 50mm full frame equivalent that a lot of us grew up with. As I said at the beginning, this whole video was shot with just this lens, except of course the close-ups of the lens itself, and I haven't experienced an issue that will stop me using this lens alongside the 23mm in all of my YouTube videos from now on. In fact, I already have been using it in the same way I'm recording right now. I've also used the lens on zoom, and it works better than my XF35mm with the face detection on. It's just that extra bit sure when I move away from a main spot during a web meeting. Also, as I'm doing this, possibly you can dispel any problems about focus breathing for what it's worth. Anyway, Another thing I've been doing more of lately is taking walks around the lake by my house, as you would have seen in other sample clips in other videos. So yeah, let's throw up a few quick clips just for the crack, and then we'll sum up my thoughts afterwards. It comes down to your needs, your budget, and most importantly, the image quality. And the image quality is basically the same as the magical 35mm. So why aren't I seeing this as a magical lens? Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's some kind of Fujifilm special sauce. But, you know, for almost half the price, I don't see any reason why this lens isn't a solid punt for most Fujifilm shooters. It's well built, it's relatively compact in the hand, comes with a top quality metal lens hood, which actually doesn't fall off like mine does on the Fujifilm. It performs really well in all the situations it's made for, and it produces lovely images, so what's not to like, other than the aperture ring in my case and the less exciting minimum focus distance maybe. But at this price, very recommended. Over to you then. As always, make sure to subscribe and we can keep checking out cool gear, but let us know what you want so we can put out what you need to see and not just what I'm into. Well, I'm sure we can meet somewhere in between. Even more importantly, let us know in the comments below how you've gotten on with this lens. As always, stay safe and see you soon.